Hello everybody, so here we go. This is the start of silage 2023. As you've just seen, we are in the first field, so this is mown. So you will notice most of the headland is already gone. That was zero grazed and fed to the cows. It's been a very trying season so far with grass and grazing, and yeah, hopefully that's all behind us now. But that is why the headland is gone. Cows have eaten it, and as you can see, it's coming back very nicely already. This evening we are going to come and ted it out. So let's get the tedder set up, get going. Okay, so we are now folded out, but our outside wheels are still touching the ground. So the lift rods on the tractor are too long, we've got to screw them up. That would give us more lift height. Should have done that before I started, really, but anyway, right. Never mind. Right, so I think we'll give the top link a little shorten as well before we start. Right, that should give us a somewhere handy setting. And hopefully now we've got enough clearance on our wheels on the outside. Perfect, there we are. Right, plenty of height now. So, into gear. Let's give it a go, see if our settings are correct. Too quick, slow down. So what we're aiming for is to lift all the grass from the swath but not touch the soil. It's looking good from here. I can see clear stubble under the tines. Let's just get out and have a check. So you can see we have moved all of the grass. There's clear stubble under the wheels all the way across the width, and it's done a nice job of spreading out. So it's cut probably 3 hours ago. Top has dried off a little bit, but because it's a heavy crop, it hasn't rained for several days now, has to be said, but the soil is very soft. So got to spread it out, because we don't want to be hauling any water into the clamp. It's got to be dry going in as best we can. Right, so I'm happy with that. Let's get on and get some done. Right, so just a final little bit in the first field now. Hasn't taken very long. So last year, you may remember, we did the tedding. We actually started in this field. We used the 550 on the coon tedder, and then halfway through the hay season, we bought this class 6 rotor tedder. It is a Volto 800 6 rotor tedder. I can't remember the working width, but it perfectly matches 3 10-foot mower swaths. So we can cover three swipes of the mower with every run. Makes it a lot faster. And because it came halfway through hay last year, this is its first real proper test in decent crop of grass. And because hay last year was light, and we're getting a better cut of silage than we had this time last year as well. Partly because of we've had a lot more rain this year, but mostly this year we used fertiliser. Last year we didn't put any on the first cut. Something also the coon didn't do, it didn't fold hydraulically. It was a get out and heave the rotors round job, but not anymore. Easy as all that. Right, so next field. One thing I did notice as soon as I picked this tedder up the last year though, when it was brand new, it's very, very wide. You might see there's 2 marker poles, and this gateway, it's not very wide. This is going to be snug. We're in. So for the first time round, we have a curtain on the end rotor that catches the grass and stops it being thrown into the hedge. So it kind of keeps it in a little bit. So we put that down for the first time round, and then we'll get out and fold it back up again. But other than that, it's just drive round and round. Do the headland first and then go up and down. I'm hoping to get the drone out in a minute. Well, I don't want to do that on the headland, and the sun is going in. It's just 8 o'clock now. We'll try it. Hopefully the sun will come back out in a minute. Right, so we're now into the next day. I didn't get to film any more of the tedding. Once the sun was down, it went too dark. So we are actually now onto the second load of the day. We had a complete sound failure on the first load, so good job we checked that. But we're now picking up. So I've got to try and remember what I said on the first load now. So Dad came and tedded this all again this morning. I was just finally finishing off the wagon. We had to sharpen it up, get the additive barrel all washed out and make sure everything was going and all that. So he would come and tedded it again. It is now nicely dry. Not dry, it's drier. It's dry enough to make good silage without losing nutrients through effluent. We don't want any juice running out. So that is why we ted it out, especially this year with all the rain we've had. The ground is wet underneath, the grass is leafy, so we've got to do all we can to try and leave as much water out in the field as we can, not take it back to the clamp. So the 43-45 is on the rake. A lot of you were pleased to see that a few weeks back when we put the grass seed in with it. Yeah, so it came off the mixer wagon, put the grass seed in. It's done some fertiliser spreading this year. Plan is to leave that tractor hitched on the fertiliser spreader, because hopefully this summer we're going to have lots of rain throughout the growing season and a little bits of fertiliser here and there, just to keep the grazing going. Better than last year, which is not really hard because last year was a total disaster as far as grass growth goes. So what we're picking up is, if you remember last night, so if you can remember last night when we were tedding this field, most of the headland was already gone, so we're just picking up kind of half swaths on part of the headland, and then we should be in the up and downs, and hopefully it won't take too long to get this cleared, even though it is a good, reasonably good yield, which is pleasing. So that is the second load full, so I will leave it there for a minute or two, just get a bit done, come back later on. We are almost done in the first field, final swath, final one full swath and two little tiny bits up there. That's what happens with a wagon, sometimes you just can't get to the end. When it's full and that's it, so you've got to stop. So we've got two little stubby little bits over there, but that's alright. Yields so far do seem to be reasonable, but then we have had plenty of moisture. I think I've already said that a couple of times this spring. It's rained a little bit, and this field, or these fields we're doing, they were what we did slurry with back in very early February, so that was a long time ago now, and a lot has happened since then. There seems to be mowers and foragers flying everywhere today. When we get into the next field, we might see a way in the distance next door is on with a forager, and there's a mower. I can hear a mower going over there, and yes, I think everybody's going at the minute. So one thing that's going to be missing from this video is mowing. Okay, so I wasn't able to film any of this mowing because we were drilling fodder beet at the same time. Okay, so that will be Vintage Thursday coming up next week. So no mowing in this particular video, but we do have a contractor booked to come in early part of next week, and obviously we mow it and rake it ahead of him. So hopefully we'll get all that filmed. That'll be a separate video, but no mowing in this one. So sometimes when we're busy, things just happen and we don't get to film it all, but that's life, isn't it? Right, so there we go, first field is done. Let's move on to next door. So I got a feeling there's probably a little bit heavier crop out here, so that's always good. Right, on with the next. Right, so that's us full from out here. So it is now milking time. You might just see ahead, brother has just finished raking, so he's going to come on, drive the wagon during milking time to keep things moving along. Right, so we will see you later on. So we are now at the end of the day. We have one more load to pick up in this field. Like we said when we just started, it is a lot heavier than the first field. And I'm not sure if you can tell, but it didn't cut all that cleanly. Where it was going down, it was just starting to go down a little bit. So you can't always cut it very clean when it does that. 99% of it is good. It's just the odd place where it was just starting to go down. But anyway, there we are. We are 2 and a bit swaths left, so that will fill up our final load. So we will pick it up again tomorrow, because first job tomorrow we are going to pick up the field of grass that we drilled last year. No, we didn't drill it. That we planted last year. Our no plough grass seed, I think we called it. So that's where we scratched it into the stubble of the spring wheat. Anyway, right. Right, so it's probably getting too dark now anyway, so I will see you tomorrow. So we are now in the field that we reseeded last year. Okay, so this was spring wheat, and then we just power harrowed it and put grass seed in, and it's done very well, although I have to say we did get an awful lot of volunteer wheat growing. So that means we didn't have our combine set right. So in this there is a lot of wheat plants in the crop, or in the swath. We weren't sure what was going to happen over winter. We didn't actually know would spring wheat survive the winter, but it turns out it does. And it was did have a lot of severe frost in December, so I guess if it was going to die, it would have died in that. So this year we've learned something, that spring wheat doesn't die in the winter. So this is the highest yielding bit we've done so far. There is a massive crop on here, and it's taken a while to clear it, but we're getting there. So we didn't ted this one out, we just mowed it because we weren't sure what that wheat was going to do, if it was going to go lumpy through the tedder and then cause problems picking it up, so we just left it behind the mower. And so we mowed this first and picking it up last, just to give it an extra chance to dry. And it was raked up this morning, and it's drying again on the top quite nicely. So I reckon today is the hottest day of the year so far. It's 20 degrees now, it was 21 this morning. It is just clouding over a little bit now, but there's a threat of potential showers later this afternoon. So hopefully we can get it cleared before any rain comes. Right, so here is the results of our efforts so far. So we have, as you can see, we've put a temporary sheet on. The contractor's not coming for a couple of days, so we have to sheet over, and then we will start mowing and raking, and that will be a separate video, because hopefully we can film some bigger, newer, shinier, higher output machines. So this year we seem to be, and I don't think it's just us, it seems to be a thing, a nationwide thing, grass yields are well up on last year. So we've got more in here than we were expecting for the area we've covered, but wagon silage, because of its longer chop, does take up more room. That's why the rolling is so important to get that consolidation, which is why you saw the tractor on there. Rolling, 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 just to keep it squashed down. I will leave it here for this video. Hopefully we can pick up next week with a part 2, kind of. So I will say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.